of this. My name is Kim from the Ultraflex Academy of Dance, and I have put together a series of evenings for our parents to come on, have a chat, and I think basically these are topics that we're all kind of talking about and wanting more information on. And while I'm a dance expert, I'm not an expert when it comes to parenting or any of the other fabulous talks that we had lined up and coming in the future. So I thought, what a better way to come together and connect and just do this and have a chat for no particular reason, only just to gain a bit of knowledge and to see, if it's an area that might interest somebody else, or if you have any questions. So the way this is going to work this evening is Kirsten is going to introduce herself and she's going to tell you a little bit about what she does. She has a bit of a presentation that she's going to go through. So while the presentation is on, we're going to be recording it. So if you have any questions, you might just get a pen and paper and just jot them down in case you forget them as we're going along, so that you have them for the end. And then at the end, we're going to have that Q&A. And I think for the Q&A, Kirsten, we might stop recording at that point.
That would be fine. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Perfect. And then we can all just come back onto the screen and have a quick chat about what we've seen or heard or whatever, if you have any other questions. So that parents know that when they come to attend these events that they're not going to be on them as such, So if you want to, we'll probably spotlight yourself, Kirsten, for everybody, so that it'll just be you in the recording. And then if everybody else wants to mute themselves for the meantime, and then if you want to ask a question or whatever, like I said, we'll come in at the end. So guys, I'm going to pass you over to the fabulous Kirsten, all the ways on the other side of the world, which is fantastic. So I'm so excited, Kirsten. Off you go.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna open up my screen share here. So let me know if you can see the slideshow.
We can see the slideshow. I can see the oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, the toolbar has gone now from the top and I can see it perfectly there now.
Okay, good. So we are going to be talking about staying sane while parenting in a pandemic. 5 tips to create a more peaceful home and raise responsible, resourceful, and resilient kids. So welcome, this is me, Kristen Anker, and I'm just gonna click all these and I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about my story. So before I was mom to my 12-year-old daughter, Maggie, my 9-year-old daughter, Annie, and 6-year-old son, Walter, I was a Montessori educator. So I worked in the Children's House program at a Montessori school, a 3 to 6-year-old, so preschool kindergarten. I was then the director of the preschool kindergarten program. I oversaw 3 classrooms. I did a lot of teacher training and parent courses and workshops. And then I became an assistant head of school at a large Montessori school up in Massachusetts. I'm in the US, if you haven't heard with my accent. And it was there at Oak Meadow School where I really started to study discipline, because as the assistant head of school, I was thought of as the disciplinarian. So that's what happens. And I had a lot of 3- and 4-year-old boys in my office, more so just to give the teachers probably a breathing break. I had a lot of 13 and 14-year-old girls in my office. It was right when the social media was coming out and there was the cyberbullying. I had a lot of teachers in my office. I was helping with relationship building between the assistant teacher and the gym teacher and the drama teacher. I felt like a school psychologist by the time I was done with that job. But I had a lot of parents in my office too, and I had a lot of, I thought, great advice. But a lot of this all happened before I was a mom. So I had only just had my one baby at the time. So maybe fast forward a few years and my daughter was about 3 and I had my brand new middle child, my newborn baby in my arms. And I was scared to death. I was holding this baby, had this wild child. My husband was leaving for work and I thought, oh my God, I have to go to the post office today. I have to bring these children out into the world. How am I going to do this? And it was hard. And I had a lot of challenges in the beginning. I think more so I put it on myself because I thought, oh, I'm a Montessori educator and I've been doing this for many years. I should be good at this job. And really, it was just all new to me. So I needed time to build my confidence. And it was there that I was working at a school, and I was doing some workshops for the school. And I was telling the head of school, like, this is a challenging job being a mom. And she said, oh, have you ever heard of positive discipline? And I said, oh, yeah, I've heard of Jane Nelson. So positive discipline is what I'm trained in. And what I did is I, dusted off the positive discipline book that I had, and I read it. And it really resonated with the philosophy that I had from my education background. And I had heard from a wise woman once that she said, Kristen, it was when I was pregnant, she said, Kristen, once you read something and it clicks with you, just stop, because there's so much out there. And then there's the advice that you get from one person and the opposite advice from another person. So I didn't stop reading, but what I did do is I delved into positive discipline, and I'm trained to facilitate teachers and to facilitate parents through experiential lessons. So we're going to be doing some of those experiential lessons later. So basically, the work that I do is based on positive discipline, based on Montessori in the home. How do we create our home environment to allow for our children to become more independent? And encouragement consulting. So encouragement consulting is then using these positive psychology tools on ourselves. Because when I was trained in the Montessori program, you can kind of think of an equal triangle, and we're thought of as the parent, the child, and the environment. We have to constantly be paying attention and intention towards these three things. Us as the parent, we have to be taking care of ourselves. The child, we have to know a little bit about child development and what we should even be expecting, and how they learn best, because their brains are a little different than ours. And then the environment, if we can prepare the environment to help the child to become more responsible and resilient, why don't we do that? So that's a little bit about me. So what we need to be thinking about now, we're parenting in a pandemic. This is very hard. Parenting was hard to begin with, let alone going through all the uncertainty and the ups and the downs, and really just we've been scared. So our children are constantly looking to us to navigate, and for them to figure out what's happening in their world. So I think we do have a responsibility to ourselves and to our children of showing up, of trying to be this positive person. So we're going to go over 5 shifts today. We're going to talk a little bit about developing a growth mindset and what that looks like. We're going to try to upgrade our environment, because we're there a lot. We're in our environment a lot, our homes. We're going to create consistent routines for ourselves and for our children. We're going to learn about special time and what that means. And then I'm going to give you permission to take radical self-care for ourselves. So developing a growth mindset. This is something that I'm learning about now. I think it's something I've always had, and now I'm learning that mindset is something that we need to work on every day, every second of the day. One of my mentors recently talked about these 2 states of being. You can be in a primal state of being, which is probably how we've all been this past year in moments, I'm sure, which would be that stress, overwhelm, anxiety, fear. You probably know the experiences. And then there's the powerful states of being: joy, happy, content, confident, courageous, all of those powerful states of being. And you can really only be in one or the other. So as an adult, we have the ability to control our mindset. And even though, yeah, I can't say, okay, oh, if you're feeling fear and anxious, you could just quickly switch. No, we can't do that, but we can at least notice and we can have that self-awareness and think, okay, I'm feeling this fear, and how can I get to being in a more powerful state? Because being in this primal state, it's not helping me, it's not helping my child, it's not helping anybody. And that's the work. And I'm sure there's other experts out there. And I know Suzanne probably knows even more about this idea. But for what's worked for me, and I did, again, this is something I'm learning about now. Probably for the past 4 years, I've been on this path of personal growth and development. And so I'm learning how to use these positive psychology tips on myself, because positive psychology is thought of as the science of human flourishing. And if there's a science of human flourishing, I'm going to be in there, and I want to learn what it is. And what I've learned of how to go from that primal to powerful state is using this ability of gratitude. Having a gratitude practice maybe in the morning, having a gratitude practice in the afternoon. And what I've done with one of my clients, she too has 3 young children, and she was just feeling the overwhelm, that constant overwhelm. And I'm sure we've all felt it. So I said to her, I go, during that time, what can you be grateful for? When the 2-year-old is screaming and the 6-year-old is yelling at the 9-year-old, and you don't have dinner even thought of in your head, and what can you do? And it's really, I've learned it's this gratitude, and it's saying, whew, I'm so grateful to be in this home. I'm so grateful to have some food that is in my refrigerator. I'm so grateful for these 3 children, even though they're all screaming and crying. So how we can use this idea of gratitude, and mindfulness has been another thing that has helped me to, I kept saying during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of Zoom workshops, parent support groups. And I said, let's get out of survival mode and learn how to thrive. And some days I felt like thriving, and some days I feel like I'm in survival mode. And I think I have to also, and we all have to also give ourselves that grace and that self-compassion right now that we're parenting in a pandemic. So we're going to be in survival mode, I think. But knowing more, and this is just, again, that the mindset piece is that our beliefs affect our thoughts, affect our emotions, which affect our actions, which then affect our results. So it's this cycle of our beliefs and our thoughts and our emotions and our actions and our results. And I find that really eye-opening to me, of like, oh, my belief is what's affecting all of this. So if we could change that limiting belief, then our thoughts will change, then our emotions will change, our actions might be different, and we would gain a different result. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of Mel Robbins. She's great over here in the US, and she has the 5-second rule. I just did a workshop with her, and she gave me this really great visual of this competence confidence model. And at first, and this is how I felt like during the pandemic and during this whole homeschooling, and I had 3 kids learning in 3 different parts of the house, and I was trying to get stuff done, and it was just like, and it was just, it's a competency. I had never done that before. I didn't have to set up a homeschool. So it's competency. I had to do it first. And then once we had the experience of doing it, and then we became a little bit more confident. And then we tried again, and we tried something new. And then we became a little bit more confident. So it's this cycle of sometimes just trying something, and then the next time it's going to be better. And I think about parenting a lot within that of, at first, we don't know what we're doing. And then you figure it out, and then the kids change, and then you figure something else out. So we're never going to have it all figured out. But if we can have this growth mindset of realizing that we're doing the best we can do, our parents did the best they could do with what they had, we're doing the best that we could do with what we have, and we're going to make some mistakes. And we're going to make some mistakes, and you know what? And our kids are going to make mistakes, and our kids are going to make a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes, if we can think of them as just opportunities for learning, then it'll help within the whole mindset and the whole parenting piece. Excuse me 1 minute. Okay, okay, have fun. Maybe put on like a sweatshirt around your waist. It's really hot. Yeah, so my 12-year-old is leaving to go to a friend's house. And she's wearing a tank top and shorts. We were just in like 0-degree weather and now it's 60. So anyway, I'll continue. So but I would love to hear if there's anyone feel free to unmute if you have any comments or thoughts about this idea of developing a growth mindset.
We're all thinking, taking it in, taking it in. It is very interesting, to think about that, to be ready for change, I suppose, and using the opportunities to learn and to move on from it, But I suppose sometimes you feel it's a repetition. It's it can be a repetition of the behavior and the same result. So it's breaking that cycle, I suppose.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, I'm going to move on to something we do have control over. So that was one of the things that happened during the pandemic. We actually had moved about a month before we shut down. We moved into a new house. So I joke and I said it took me about 3 years to move into my old house, and it took me about 3 months to move into this house because I had all this time. We were just stuck home. But it gave me some time to declutter and to really have intention towards creating our new environment. And this is something you can always be working on, is how we can upgrade our environment. Montessori had said that external order breeds internal order. So this sense of order is actually really, really important for the young child, ages birth to age 7. But again, it's also very important for us too, to have order in our house. I would challenge everybody to look at the amount of clutter that we might have out in our child's bedroom. A lot of my clients will complain about bedtime routine and like the kids never being able to go to sleep, and I'll go into their home and I'll look at their bedroom and I'll say, well, I don't think I would be able to sleep too. There's so much going on. There's so much activity. There's so many toys and things. So really taking a good look at what can you declutter from the child's bedroom environment and then even their play space. So the simple rule, but it's not so simple to do, is a place for everything and everything in its place. And I'm still working on this. I think I'm a hoarder from birth, and I'm a messy person. So I've had to learn how to become more tidy. And I think more so it was when I had my 3rd child that I was like, whoa, we need to figure out where everything is going to be going. An idea, and I'm not sure how old everybody's children are in your, I'm sure you have a huge age range, but an idea too is to have an actual toy lending library. There's a great book that I've read called Simplicity Parenting. It's by Kim John Payne, and he's a Waldorf educator. And he talks a lot about this abundance of too much stuff, too many toys, too many books, too many clothes. So how can we kind of pare down a little bit so our children don't have the that clutter around them, because it starts to create more anxiety in them. But if with a toy lending library, if you either have an attic or a basement or a closet, you could put some things away and have a few things out so it's not so overwhelming. And then you can learn to rotate maybe on a monthly or a quarterly basis. But just thinking to yourself, how can I make my home more beautiful? Like, can I have some fresh flowers in the house? If dinner is a problem, sometimes I'll talk to families about creating a beautiful dinner table and having a candle lit in the middle of the table, making it special, like creating these rituals and routines that'll just build on their memories of this family time, this beautiful time that we've had stuck home. But another idea too is, how can we really be fostering independence? And this is the baby steps that we take of, in the beginning, when their children are younger, having a little step stool by the front door so they can sit comfortably and take on and off their shoes. As they get a little bit older, how can you set up the refrigerator of like, these are the healthy snacks you can eat. You can help to prepare your own snack, and helping the child to become more independent, having all the things that they need for their own self-care, and then they can do it independently. So this kind of goes into the next idea, which is developing these routines and these consistent routines. So a lot of parents complain about and I guess unfortunately we don't have this problem right now, or I still do because my kids are going to school every other day. We're in this hybrid model, but helping our children to create a morning routine or a night routine, and kind of picking one routine first. And usually I recommend to pick the night routine first, because then that helps out in the morning. So what you would do is you would sit with your child and say, what are all the things you need to do before you go to bed? And you have maybe a little clipboard out and you're writing the ideas down, and you say, yeah, okay, we need to eat dinner, and then we need to get dressed in pajamas, we need to brush our teeth, we want to read a book. So you have them like think of all the things that need to happen before bed. And then you ask them, okay, so what order should we put these things in? And this is just helping with them, with the problem solving, with them putting a visual in their brain of like, this is what I need to do. And a lot of parents will say, oh, but my kid knows what to do. And yes, they probably do, but this is just going to help building that autonomy. So then the fun part is, and you don't do this at night when it's time to go to bed, maybe you do this on a weekend when you have a little bit more time, you say, all right, we're going to make a really fun routine chart, and I'm going to take pictures of you doing all these different things. So you get your phone and you take a picture of them brushing their teeth, and you take a picture of them laying their clothes out the night before, you take a picture of them reading their book in bed, and maybe you take a picture of you shutting the light off or whatever. And it helps that. And then you say, okay, where do you want to put this routine chart? And you don't add stickers to it. There's no praise or rewards for this routine chart. It's just something to help them to become more independent. And it helps too if you ever have a babysitter or a nanny to help. They know the night routine, they know the day routine, and then the children just get it. And for me, it helped a lot to do the night routine first. And then it was my daughter, I think she was probably 5 at the time. And she said, Mom, the night routine seems to be working, but we're really late to school in the morning. I think you need to make a morning routine for yourself. And I was like, yeah, I do. So I need to do it myself. You can have routines for cleaning. This is something that, again, I'm learning about now, and it has been because this past year, I have not had help. I have not had any help with the childcare. I haven't had help with cleaners, nothing. So I've had to create a cleaning routine and involve my children in chores. And that probably has been one of the silver lining of the pandemic, is I've had the time to teach them how to do the laundry, and they really help a lot with our food preparation, and they love to cook. So how do you get your children involved? And this whole thing, it just builds their self-esteem and their sense of feeling like I am capable and I can do it. And thinking of different little purposeful work. It's not just like chores, and chores can sometimes be like, wah, wah, that's no fun. But what's purposeful work? So here's an example of Annie, and she's buttering the bread for garlic bread. And then I think that, I can't see it because my picture's in the way, but Walter's there and he's cutting something. So teaching our children these skills are really, really important. So this is something new that I just learned about from this woman, Dr. Jill. And so I'm trying to do this. First, I was all into the miracle morning. So I was like, okay, I'm teaching parents how to do these routine charts with their kids, but we parents need these morning routines. And I know, I'm sure Suzanne has an amazing morning routine. Like, we need a morning routine so that we can have enough energy to live into this best version of ourselves and to be the role model for our kids. So I really liked this acronym of New Start. And this is just, these are the things that we need to do for our own well-being. And if we could put these consistently into our routine, we're going to feel good. We're going to feel good. People do better when they feel better. So new start, and every day is a new start. But if every day you can just think about your nutrition or exercise, water, are you taking enough water? A new habit that I have is 20 ounces of lemon water right as I wake up. So I wake up and that's what I have before my coffee, is the 20 ounces of lemon water. And then you have to have drink half of your body weight in ounces. That's how much water you're supposed to have. So I'm trying to drink a lot of water. Sun. And I know, Kim, you said in Ireland it's been rainy and gray, and but this idea of sun is so important. And we have a long winter too, and people do have that seasonal funk where you just feel like crap because you're not getting enough sun. So if we can make sure to have a little bit of outside time. Our thoughts, so that's what we talked about in the first section around mindset, is our thoughts are really predicting our lives. So being aware of the negative self-talk and the negative thoughts that we have in our head, and how can we turn that around to be a little bit more positive. Air, deep breathing. I took a deep breath, and I want you all to take a deep breath now as we're just saying this. I've also learned through the pandemic how to breathe in through my nose and out through my nose to gain a little bit more calm, because I was feeling it in my chest. Like, there were days that I was just like, it's just so like stressed and so scared and I had to learn how to breathe, or I had to be aware, like, whoa, you're holding your breath right now, Kristen, take a deep breath. So breathing in another, I'll do this actually in the other section, but rest. I know I'm not very good at the rest piece, but that's supposed to be very good. And then trust. And I've heard a few things. We can first trust in ourselves, trust in our own, whatever these ideas that are in our head, trust in ourselves that we can do it, or trust in God, trust in the divine, whoever you believe in. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about special time. And right now I'd love to do a quick little activity with you. So if you could see me, you're going to do what I say. So I would love for everybody to sit in their chair and sit up tall, and put your two hands right on your thighs. And you're going to sit up with a tall back, and you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And do it one more time, in through your nose and out through your nose. Now you're going to stop. You're going to look at me. You're going to tap your thighs 3 times. You're going to put your hands up in the air, and you're going to make a little circle with your finger and thumb, and you're going to put that right on your chin. Everybody put it right on your chin. Did you put it on your chin, or are you up on your cheek? Ah. So I said chin, yet I put my hands on my cheeks. So what is that? If anyone would love to unmute for a second, and what is that teaching us about maybe our children or ourselves or anything?
That they see everything, Kristen, and that the body language and what we show is far more powerful than words, isn't it? Wow.
Yes. Yep. And it's neuroscience. So we all have these mirror neurons, And what I love about what I've been doing is a lot of this neuroscience has been new the past 15 years. So they've discovered that we have these monkey see, monkey do neurons. And it's not just with what I do, it's how we're feeling, like Suzanne had said. And so when it's the example of with a little newborn baby, you can go like this with your mouth, and this newborn baby will do that. So that's mirror neurons. It's when you see somebody yawn and you feel like you have to yawn. That's mirror neurons. Or when, and for me, this is me because I'm an empath, I see somebody cry and I well up with tears and I start to almost cry. So we all have mirror neurons. And what we need to know, and actually I'll do a quick little hand model about this, is our brains are different than our children. Our brains are different than our children. So there's an amazing neuroscientist, Dr. Dan Siegel. This is the whole brain child. He's amazing. And so he has this handy brain model, and I'm going to do this really quick for you right now. So if you have, and you could do it too, so that you can learn it and then you could teach it to your kids. So this, my right hand is going to be my brain. This is my model of my brain. So from the palm down, that's the brain stem. And that's in charge of our automatic bodily functions, our breathing, our heart rate, all the things that we don't know are happening. And then if you put your thumb over your middle of the palm, that's your midbrain. So that's the amygdala. That is where the radar is. What are you going to do? You're going to freeze, you're going to fight, or you're going to flight. So this is also considered the reptilian brain. And then if you put your 4 fingers down, now this is the brain. So the back is the cortex. This is where all the, or actually all this is the cortex. This is where all the senses come in the back, your 5 senses. And then the top part is the cortex. All the thinking is happening. There's a lot of synapses. There's lots of stuff going on. And then if you look at your fingertips, your distal fingertips, that's the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is not done developing until the age of 25. So we have this in our brain and our kids do not. And the prefrontal cortex is what's all those executive functioning skills. So that's kind of like the new term now, that executive functioning skills. It's our interpersonal relationships, our intrapersonal relationships, our morality, our response flexibility, how we can respond to different things and how we react. Morality, I think I said that, judgment, our judgment. So all this is happening here. And the other thing that neuroscientists discovered is there's something that happens to your brain when your brain is on stress, when you are feeling, so it's like that fight flight response, and it's in our brains from when we were cavemen, and we had to have this in our brains to protect us from the lion. But right now it's going off when other things are happening, like a pandemic and a shutdown, and we're uncertain about our jobs, and there's so much happening, and then our children are home and they're screaming and fighting and yelling, and you have no idea what you're going to cook for dinner. Your brain just goes like this. And so now your prefrontal cortex is not working, but what is just this amygdala. And that's also where our emotions and our memories are stored. So this is sometimes where people say, oh, I never wanted to sound like my mother, and I sound like my mother right now, because you're screaming, you're yelling, you're out of control, because your brain is not working properly. So we have to learn to be aware when we get here, because we're all going to get here, and it's just what happens. We're all human. And how do we go from here back to here? And it's called self-regulation. Self-regulation, it's that, taking of the deep breath, it's having the drink of water, it's whatever helps to make you feel good. And when I do this work with moms, we sometimes write about like all the things that trigger us, and we get it all out on paper of like all the things that like, oh, they just pisses you off and gets triggered. And then we all say all the things, and then I start peeling away all the things that are getting us triggered when we talk about all the things we can do to care for ourselves, what makes us feel good. So you think about what makes you feel good, and you try to make sure you schedule that into your day, because that's going to help so much with ourselves, and then teaching our children this really important skill of self-regulation. So what we can do is make sure to have that special time for ourselves, but we have to also somehow create some special time with our children. And this is proactively putting some love in the love bucket. And all human beings have this need for belonging and significance. So belonging could be thought of as love, or that unconditional love, and significance can be thought of as power. So that all human beings, especially children, have this sense of, they need to feel like they belong and that they're significant. And if they don't feel that, they're going to misbehave. They're going to misbehave. And if we could kind of think of this idea as like a tip of the iceberg, a tip of the iceberg. So we see the misbehavior, that's the tip of the iceberg, but down below in the iceberg, in the center, is this need for belonging and significance. And if they're not going to get that, if they somehow don't feel that, they're going to find 4 mistaken ways to get it. So there's 4 big types of behavior. There's undue attention, there's misguided power, there's revenge, and there's assumed inadequacy. And all these 4 things we can work with our children to get that mistaken belief. We can work around that. So one way is to spend this special time with our kids. And it doesn't have to be a long time. It's really just 5 to 10 minutes of giving them your one-on-one time. So if you have more than one child, you might have to ask for some help, maybe from your parenting partner or a spouse or somebody, so that you can maybe spend some alone time. Or me, like this past year, I haven't had any help. So I've kind of organically tried to do it. So when my son is like, Mom, will you please play these trains with me? And in my head, I'm like, oh, I got to make dinner. I got to do this. I got to do that. The house is a mess. Yes, I'm going to play trains with you. Mommy only has about 5 minutes, but I'm going to play. And so I kind of set my timer for 5 minutes, and I'm all in and I'm playing with them. And then my timer goes off. I go, okay, buddy, that was so fun. I got to go do the dinner now. So when can we just give our kids our full attention, our attitude too, of being like excited to be with them, and make it alone and make it special. I know when I'm able to do that individually with my kids, and it doesn't happen every single day, but when I can do it, I could just feel it in their bodies. They just feel like, oh, she gets me. She's on my side. And that's how we want them to feel. So there's this big idea around connection. That's really what our children need to feel, and they need to feel connection. So when we have to make a correction, can we do the connection first? So first you have to connect with your child. And the proactive way to do it is this special time, but the reactive way to do it is when you're in the moment, you've got to like, okay, maybe take that deep breath first so you can go about this in a kind and firm way. We have to be kind and firm. Get down on your child's eye level. Be close enough, I say be 2 feet, so that you can touch them. If you're not so angry that you're going to touch them in anger, like make sure you can have a gentle touch. Kind eyes. So really being curious, and I know Kim knows, kind eyes look different than the not kind eyes. Like if you can show them your kind eyes and you validate something that's going on. So it's going to look so different. We had to do it when, my 12-year-old, she really, really wanted to go away with her friend skiing. And we do have ski mountains open here in the US, but we just didn't feel like it was safe. We couldn't let her go alone. this was not something our family had been doing. We're not going and seeing people and staying with people. And we just said, you can't. And she got so mad at us. And she was, oh, so angry. I hate you. I hate this pandemic. You're following the government too much. She was like so mad at me and saying everything. And I let her go. I let her go. I didn't let her go to Vermont. I let her be. And because she needed to cool down and I needed to cool down a little bit. And I was able to, self-regulate, get back. And I went up to her room and I just said, Maggie, I can see you're really upset. You must be so disappointed that we wouldn't let you go with your friend skiing. And that's all I said. I validated how she was feeling. And then the next part is state expectation. I said, and, mommy and daddy, we want to keep you safe. We are here to keep you safe. And you're going to get to go next year. Next year, we're going to go. And she was okay. She was like, I know, I get it. So it's just, you have to find that connection and connect before you can correct. Another example that I use in my positive discipline trainings is like one night you walk into a room and it's just a disaster. So the example I had once is like, I walked into my daughter's bedrooms. They used to share a room in our old house. Now they don't. I think that's part of the reason why we moved. We're like, we all need our own bedrooms here. Everybody needs their own. But they literally had every baby doll out in the house in their bedroom. And I was just like, I walked in, I was like, oh my God, this is a disaster. But I learned from my positive discipline training to like connection before correction. So I got down on their level and I looked at them and I just said, wow, it looks like you two girls are having a lot of fun in here. And they both just looked at me with these big eyes. Oh my gosh, mommy, we're having so much fun. We have an orphanage and we're the mommies and we're taking care of everybody and we are the nurses and we're this and we're the teachers and we're da, 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 da. And I just like walked away. I'm like, that's great. Like, and I was about to yell at them of like, we're going to have guests soon. And I was like, whatever. So how we can, use that tool would be really helpful. And I think this is our last area of I'm giving you this permission to take radical self-care of yourself. And we need to think of this as not being selfish. We need to be taking this care of ourselves. I have been good at times and I've been bad at times doing this. And I'm on a better streak. I'm getting better, but having that morning routine is helping me. And I'm just also giving myself a lot of grace during this period because I see exercise and I'm like, oh man, I really, I have all these intentions to get out there and exercise and sometimes it's not happening. And I know when it doesn't happen, I don't feel good. So just knowing what you can do to help yourself to feel good. I love that New START acronym and trying to do some of those things, but doing what makes you feel good and figuring out what helps your child to feel good. So this was the whole idea when we did this brain in the palm of our hand. So many times our children are like this when we're trying to reprimand them or punish them or discipline them, or they're like this. And if we could change our mindset a little bit to know we have to teach them how to get back here. So to yell at them, to blame them, to shame them is not going to help them any good when they're like this. So know that people do better when they feel better, and you can create a positive timeout space with your child and for your child. So and I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Montessori, but in Montessori classrooms, they probably have a little peace area or a peace corner. And they even take the children there to help them solve conflicts. And they teach them how to argue and how to have a good fight. So that's what I help parents to do with siblings and how to help them to argue, but to do it with a conflict resolution, with a problem solving in mind. So this idea of having a peace area or a positive timeout or something where you could ask your child, again, maybe get a little clipboard and it's a serious meeting you're having, and you say, you know, sometimes you get so angry and you hit your sister, and it's just not okay to hit. You know, we're kind in this family. But I know you're not feeling good. So what makes you feel good? You tell me, what are some things that make you feel good? And you kind of jot down some of these ideas. And you say, okay, let's kind of create a space. So when you're not feeling good, I'm going to say, would it make you feel better to go to your peace area? And maybe that'll help. And it's actually really helped my kids a lot. Okay, so we're going to do a little quick activity. And could I have 2 volunteers to unmute? And you're going to be my 2 children. And you're not going to have to really say anything. You just have to think and feel and decide when I tell you things.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, so I have Kim and I have Suzanne. So Kim, I'm going to say something to you, and then Suzanne, I'm going to say something to you. Okay. Kim, go brush your teeth. Suzanne, what do you need to do so your teeth won't feel all scuzzy? Kim, don't forget your coat. Suzanne, what are you taking so you won't be cold outside? Kim, go to bed. Suzanne, what's next on your bedtime routine chart? Do your homework, Kim. Do your homework. Suzanne, what's your plan for getting your homework done? Stop fighting with your sister. Suzanne, how can you and your sister solve this problem? Kim, put your dishes in the dishwasher. Suzanne, what have we decided to do with our dishes when we're all done eating? Kim, hurry up and get dressed. We're going to be late. Suzanne, what can you do to be all dressed and ready to go on time? Kim, stop whining. Suzanne, what words can you use so I can hear you? Pick up your room. What's your responsibility to do with all your toys when you're done playing with them? Okay, so that's the end. So Kim, how are you thinking and feeling and deciding?
I suppose my first response is to not want to do what you're telling me to do,
Mhm.
or to kind of fight back, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from a caring place. It's like I'm bothering you. Or I love those questions though. I think that's great actually.
Yeah, so Suzanne, how were you feeling when I was?
Yeah, well, you made me think every question. I was like, oh, what could I do? oh, hang on, another question. It did. And it's empowering. It's empowering. And I can imagine saying that to a little child, it would be your belonging, like you said, you're part of the family, you're part of the
Oh,
unit.
definitely. You can see.
Definitely, I love that.
So, and that's the thing, we're constantly telling our kids what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and when can we use, so it's a what or a how question. And maybe for this whole week, just catch yourself telling, just catch yourself every time you're telling, and then next week, practice the asking. Or when you tell, they're like, okay, next time I'm gonna say it like this. But if any children are younger than 4 years old, I would not recommend doing this asking. I would recommend it being part of the routine. This is what we do. Put your jacket on. We put our shoes on. We do this. But when they're 4 and older, they're in the next developmental stage. And so we want to start training the prefrontal cortex. And so we're asking questions. And the questions will sometimes just redirect or distract them from what Kim said she wanted to do was, no, I'm not going to do it. You're telling me to do it. I don't want to do it. So it'll just distract them from doing that. Okay, so then we have another activity that we're going to do real quick, and then we're going to finish up. But Georgina, would you like to be, can you be one of my children?
I'll be praised.
You're going to be one of my kids, and then who would like to be another child? So this is a real feel-good one. Kim, would you like to be it again?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So here we go. So I'm going to say something first. I'm going to say them all to Kim, and then I'm going to say them all to Georgina. So Kim, you're first, and I want you just to get an idea of what you're thinking, feeling, and deciding. Good job. I like what you did. You did it just like I told you. You're so smart. I like the way you're sitting here beside me. You're such a good girl. Your painting is beautiful. Whew. You did it better than anyone else. I am so proud of you. You are the best dancer in the studio. I wish the others could be just like you. Okay, so Kim, you're done. You be thinking about that, but now be listening to what I'm saying to Georgina. Okay, Georgina, you figured it out for yourself. It took a lot of courage to stand up to for yourself like that. Thanks for helping me. It made my day so much easier. I really appreciate your help. Look how far you've come. You can do it. Can you tell me about your painting? Look at these beautiful colors you did. I have faith in you. I care about you. You can decide what's best for you. How do you feel about it? I believe you can do it. I love you no matter what, Georgina. I love you no matter what. Okay, so how are you thinking, feeling, and deciding? What was the difference, or how did you feel, Georgina, when I said that to you?
I felt great. It was lovely.
Keep going.
Please, somebody else say to me, it was lovely. You just feel like that warm feeling. It was just, it was comforting. It was just maybe want, to hear more. And, so yeah, I felt good.
Oh, good. And how about Kim? How were you feeling about what I said to you, and then maybe the difference of what I said to Georgina?
I think I felt, it felt great. You were giving me lots of encouragement. What I don't know, should I have picked this up? But for me, I would have felt a little bit of pressure to be that person, to continue in that way. Like, you're the best here. For me, I would have felt like, oh God, I am going to have to keep continuing to be the best. Or, should I have picked that up?
Of course. Yeah. So what I was doing to you is I was praising you. I was praising you. And what I was doing to Georgina, I was using encouragement.
Okay.
So what we want to use praise is like candy. You don't want to use too much praise, because our children then becomes praise junkies. It's all that external, how I feel about you, or I think you're this. And what we want our children to feel is this internal. And it's not so much of what we say to them, it's what they then say to themselves. And Georgina said it, she felt so good, like she felt empowered, and she could, she could do anything. So children need encouragement like a plant needs water. So children need these words of encouragement. And there's this great article, this guy, Alfie Kohn, wrote the 5 reasons why not to say good job. And it's not like good job is a bad thing, but there's so many other better ways to say it for our children to really feel. And I hear it all the time, like, oh, good job. Oh, yay, good. It's like, what are they actually doing? That's the good job. And you do that, just say what they're doing. Wow, you were able to put the blocks up all by yourself. Wow, you were able to get dressed all by yourself. Just saying what they do. So that's a little bit of encouragement versus praise. And it's just a slight change. But if we can learn how to use those words of encouragement, and then using the words of encouragement, of course, on ourselves too. So that's the end, and we'll stop in a minute, but let's see, is that all? Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time to learn for yourself. I feel like knowledge is power and people do better when they know better. So I'm here to help. I've been studying this stuff for about 25 years, and really the on-the-job training for the past 12, I think, has been what I've learned the most is when I became a mom. So I help moms to feel more confident, to gain cooperation. I help parenting partners to see eye to eye, because I feel like we're all coming from different families, from different parenting styles. And when you go then and have your own children, you want to do it your way. So I think too, having that consistency is really helpful. So
Okay.
I'll stop this. Yep, I'll stop the screen share. And is there any questions? And I can stop the recording whenever, but is there any other thing that you wanted to add? Oh, Kim, you wanted to do something too at the end.
Oh no, it was only just basically to show everybody how they could get into the what I do with these talks is I store them in the academy. So, and all of the links, if anybody wants to get in touch with like yourself, Kristen, I'm sorry, I was saying your name wrong all along. I was going Kirsten, wasn't I? It's Kristen.
I love your accent so much. It doesn't bother me.
So that's where I store them because they're safe there and people can go in and they can watch it in their own time and they can take, you know, links and everything as well from there if they want to contact you for more information. But certainly I just thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I've got tons of notes here. I'm loving the morning, you know, getting into the routines. And I find sometimes, you know, our children can be even better at doing things like that than us, you know. I know one of my daughters, like she just loves routine and she gets stuck in, and I'm the one that ruins it, you know, because it's like I'm so busy with everything else and I just, you know, I can't have time for this. And I suppose it's like that. It's like you said, trying to find that happy medium, you know, for you and for the kids and everything else. But that last thing you said about, you know, your partners as well, like coming together and being on board with what's happening, you know, I think that is so important because like that, I think when you're there all day and you're working from home and you know, the kids are there all day, you feel like when you come in, you need to go. Like that's probably a bad time to have the conversation. You know? Like when is the good time to have the conversation? This is how what's happening. This is what's going on right now, you know, because other than that, I think, you know, you're in the middle of dinner time, you're getting ready for bed, you want your own space. All of these things are happening at the one time. And then, you know, it can be chaotic. But I suppose just trying to think, do I have any other questions? Realistically, no. I think a lot of it actually comes back to even with dance, you know, about the praise and the encouragement. You know, I do that a lot with the students as well. You know, I mean, it's very important that they understand why they're being praised. You know, I think that's so important for them that they just don't get praised because you're just handing it out. You know, it's like it means nothing. They've earned it and they understand why they're getting it because they've really made a difference and they're doing, you know, they're doing really well and they're taking everything on board. So I think a lot of what you're saying actually does fall into, I suppose, like you said, you do come to this, you know, to schools and different things like that. So within the dance world, it's really helped as well to kind of go over some stuff like that with me. So thanks very much. I really, really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
No, same as me. I thought it was brilliant. It was very good. I'll be a different mummy walking out of here, walking out of the room. You know, it's just, I suppose, it's to hear, you know, when you're just, it's the same ding dong every day.
Okay, go ahead.
So guys, anybody who's watching the replay who didn't get to come tonight and listen, I hope you really enjoyed it and you got something from it. Kristen's details will be all in links. If you want to contact her about anything, or, you know, if any issues yourself that you want to speak to her about personally, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out or send you in the right direction. So all of the details are in our online academy, so please go in there. And again, thank you very much to everybody who came up live today, and Kirsten for joining us all the ways over the other side.
Oh, all the way in Connecticut. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you everyone for taking the time. And
thanks so much.
Another thing I didn't say before, but I want to make sure to say it now. It's only 3 out of 10 times we have to try to be this positive parent. So don't beat yourself up or get upset that you don't sound like that. It's only 3 out of 10 times that we have to just try. So we're all doing a good job.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much. We're going to go. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Slán.